guys, it's Reed with Rapid Response Training. I'm here doing the after action on the fighting load. So that first video I did that people seem to like, even though I filmed it terribly and it was just bad. But this is basically what worked well, what didn't for the small unit tactics class at Tactical Response with the kit that I showed. So I'm just gonna go ahead, head down so I can get these off. But the reason I have these on is there's some stuff going on here. So the one I showed, I had this push to talk tied down, right? Hopefully you can actually see that. And I've got this whip antenna running up this shoulder pad, right? So you'll notice I've got another push to talk on here. So get to the class, start doing the pre-briefing, and I get voluntold to be one of the team leaders. So based on, there was 2 8-man teams, okay? And so 2 team leaders, and then there's like a command. So you wouldn't have to do it this way. A lot of people have done it differently in the past, but we elected to have different channels for our 2 teams. So it's Alpha and Omega team, which is kind of funny. So anyhow, 2 different channels. So in order to alleviate any problems like, okay, I need to get this radio out, I need to do stuff to it constantly to like switch back and forth, or I need to be able to like make sure my radio is scanning both channels, like a whole bunch of nonsense that like, okay, could be done, sure. I didn't want to deal with. I decided to run a second radio. I figured that would, like from the user standpoint, would be the simplest, easiest way, where I've got this one for my Omega guys and this one for the Alpha team and command net. So that's easy. And I brought 2 radios. I brought another push talk. I've got dual comm Peltor, so that's what I did. So anyhow, you'll notice this here, I used this patch for cable management. I'm trying not to lean over the light and block this. So actually, I'll just do this. So use this patch as cable management. So this is my down lead for my Peltor. So I've got it kind of wrapped under here and Velcro down so it's not dangling and loose, but I've still got enough slack I can move my head. So this one is tied up on here. This is not the ideal way to do it, but I've got it on there with like an industrial twist tie kind of deal. So that's how I ended up doing this one. You'll also notice that this push to talk is inverted, right? So this one, the down lead comes up. This one, the down lead goes down. So the reason for that is the direction of the button. So I shoot my rifle off my right side. I really did not want that button facing my shoulder pocket or facing where my stock would be. So I inverted it and made it face that way. So for some other cable management, I showed the down leads here. I went ahead and ran this push to talk inside the front plate bag. It's coming out the bottom of the front plate bag, and there's the end of it, and you can see this little stubby antenna sticking out. So there it is. There's the other radio. So what I did, I showed in that first video, I had a magazine stuffed in this Blue Force Gear 10-speed. Now luckily, it's an elastic pouch, and luckily this is a small radio, and luckily it fits. So I did not go into class prepared to run 2 radios, and that's kind of a learning point, was that might be a reality. That might be something I have to do. So it would be good to have your kit set up to where you could do that if you had to. I kind of got lucky, but that's what I did. So I had this radio in here, and this is not an ideal setup because if the cable is coming out of the plate bag and it's going into something that's in the cummerbund, now this is like permanently attached, right? So not an ideal situation at all. If I was doing this right, I would have some sort of a wing pouch. So instead of on the cummerbund, it would be attached to the front plate bag right here, and I could cummerbund over it, no problem. So that's the scenario with the 2 radios, the additional push to talk, the routing, everything like that. So I don't have this one tied down. I probably should have. I was being lazy, to be honest with you. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Comms wise though, I'll talk about that now anyway. My stuff ran so good. So for a while there, like money was tight, and I was like, man, I wish why did I spend all that money on those Peltors? Why did I spend all that money on this gear? And I can't tell you how good it ran. And I was so paranoid about having comms issues. That's a super common thing that people have. Like, radio's not working, they're breaking, dudes are hot micing them. It's all sorts of problems. I had no problems, like 0 problems. Things worked perfectly. So I was psyched. Okay, so I also had 2 whip antennas. So this is a big, long, fancy whip antenna, right? That's running into the shoulder pad here, or lack thereof. We'll get to that in a second. This one I just ran the stubby. So because of where it was on my body, and the fact that it's on the cummerbund, and yeah, I just ran the stubby antenna, and it worked friggin' awesome. It was never in the way. So that's one thing. I only have the one. I'm gonna order at least one more so that I have the option. So maybe I want to run the whip, and maybe I don't. Also, like when it's an immersive class, right? So when we're LARPing around like at the camp, it's like, hey, don't go anywhere with our radio, right? So having a stubby antenna is big, because when I'm like going over to the mess hall or going over to like do stuff, whatever, take this out, like throw it in my pants pocket, I don't have this giant long whip antenna that's super annoying, like going everywhere. So yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, I was gonna say quality of life thing. I feel like it's bigger than that though. So that's the comm setup, how that worked. Everything was great. This did not have quite enough slack, unfortunately. I wish, I don't know, I wish I had like maybe, pause, 3 more inches on this cable, to be able to like mess around with my radio. But, you know, it worked. Like I said, the same is true for this. I'll slick this out of here now. The same is true for this radio. Is this ought to be on a wing attached to the plate carrier itself, not on the cummerbund. So yeah, so I'm not really worried about the push-to-talks, because once I get the wings situated, I'll have more than enough slack to run those cables. So I'm gonna take these Peltors off now that I've finished showing you the comm setup. All right, so moving down, we'll go down to the shoulders. This was actually kind of a huge problem. So the shoulders are one of the worst parts of the LV119, the Spiritus Systems LV119, which is what this carrier is, if you didn't see the part 1. And I put a lot more weight on here than I've ever had on here before. Also, how I had run this vest before, or the plate carrier before, was over soft armor, right? So it was never actually resting on my body itself. It was resting on top of soft armor, which was kind of distributing that weight. So these shoulder pads, or lack thereof, they're not shoulder pads, they're shoulder covers, and they say that on the site. For that job, they were great, because they're just like super duper thin. And so when I'm stacking it, they're not like getting mad thick, and I didn't need the padding. But for this class, like 2 days in, it was like physical pain, like it was hurting. So enough where like it was distracting, and like I'm not trying to be dramatic. It was distracting, and like I wasn't able to just focus on the class because I was like, this sucks, right? So what I did is I grabbed a couple Peltor wraps. So like what's on here, right? It's got some air mesh, and I threw those over the shoulders. But these will get replaced with either the Axle or the Shaw Concepts shoulder pads, something with like padding. They maybe don't need to be the biggest, giantest things in the world, but something with actual padding, right? So that was a big downside, something that I needed to fix. So Placard worked awesome. I didn't use the tourniquet, but it wasn't in my way. It wasn't like getting all messed up. Placard worked awesome. Re-indexing mags, great. Worked really well. This pouch worked fine. It was good. Smoke pouch, good. Used it. It was good. Fast mag, good. Pistol stuff. Did not use pistols. I guess I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here. I'll do the belt here in a second. Let's see what else. All right, so here's a problem that goes a little bit with the comms. This is a little bit of an administrative thing, but again, I feel like it's bigger than just saying quality of life. Is if I ever wanted to take my ear pro off, right? Like we're having lunch at the truck, we're chilling in between runs, we're doing a debrief, or we're doing a brief, right? For, hey, this is the drill we're gonna do. If I needed to listen to my radio, I couldn't take my headset off, right? Because my radios are wired into the push-to-talks. So that was something that I think for like a real life use is something that needs to be mitigated. I need to have options with that, because I don't know. I don't think I'm certainly weak, but I'm not just weak. Okay, this is also an issue. So being able to take your ears off, keep your like sunglasses from smashing into your head, and like let that breathe a little bit, I think is important. So I think I had two ideas on how to do that. One would be a helmet, right? So a helmet with like the 3M like Peltor mounts for the light rail or the arc rails on like an ops core thing, something like that, but that just like pop out so that you can still hear the comms, because the speaker's right here, like an inch away from your ear. It's just not sucked in, right? So that was really dramatic, sorry. So I think that is a great idea. Also, I can have a spot to mount night vision. I can be protected from like frag or low velocity stuff, and I can be protected like smashing my head on stuff, especially doing stuff in the dark. So I think helmet, now the downside of that is mad expensive, right? So the other solution I thought of is like very, very low cost, effective, is having a third radio. Now, I know what you're saying, like that's kind of weird, but if I could have a third radio, like this would be an administrative item, right? So it wouldn't have to be necessarily a Yeasu like these two are. It could be a $30 Baofeng, but just having a handset, maybe a handset with a lapel mic that I can just take out of a pack and turn it on if I'm going to take my ear pro off. And then if it's like, okay, like we're about to start doing stuff, okay, no problem, Peltor's on, click, click with the down leads, and good to go, right? There is a little bit of a CommSec issue, I suppose, because you've got another radio, then you have to worry about accountability. I don't know, man. I'm an amateur with the comm stuff, so the way I think about it is just like keep it wiped, right? And then when you stop, if you have enough time to like chill and take off your ear pro, right? Like maybe you would have enough time to like type in a frequency. And again, I mean, for this, like, I don't need to type in every frequency, right? Like if we're chilling, taking the ear pro off, I don't need to type in my team net because I'm right here. I can just talk to the pros. I would need to type in like a command net, right? So, and then before I put it back in the pack, just wipe that out and turn it off, throw it back in the pack, and keep doing whatever you're doing. So that was another idea I had. I don't know how good that would work. I haven't tried it, right? So I don't have the hose running right now, but I had the hose running over my left shoulder for the source bladder, and that was running in this. I don't have a mirror, but hopefully this is working for you. This Whisky 2-4 or Whisky Tingle, something like that. I think it's Whisky 2-4 back panel. It's aftermarket back panel. Honestly, ran great. Source bladder ran great. No leaks. I had just tucked the hose into the cummerbund here, and that mostly worked. So there's a couple times it was like weird or got in the way, but once I got the hang of it and like making sure it wasn't caught before I tried to pull it out, it worked great. And for this class especially, having a Camelback was like awesome. I mean, dudes did it with canteens and that worked, but being able to like in your 360 pulling security and being able to drink some water was really great. So, and it also like adds some weight on the back, which offsets the weight on the front, so it kind of balances you a little bit. So anyway, the what do you call this? The Roll 1, Ferro Concepts Roll 1, this medical pouch right here that's dangling under the back plate. Didn't use it. This is full of like real medical kit for me. So didn't use it. But the pouch itself was great, like never in the way, no problems, riding cars. I'm a huge fan, and I'll be doing a separate video just on that. So let's see. All right, so mag wise. So this is how I ran my mags, right? I ran 3, 4, 5, 6, one in the gun for 7. So this one I kept empty, like pretty much the whole class. Again, the whole reason for this was to run the AK. Surprise, surprise, I didn't end up running the AK at all. First of all, we didn't shoot as much as I thought we might. Second of all, being the team leader, I definitely shot a lot less than a lot of guys, right? So I ran that empty. I think for Final X, I cheated a little bit, threw another mag in there, like, might want to have it. One extra, I don't know what's going to happen, so. Let's see, what else? I think I've talked about everything except the Dangler, so I guess I'll do that now. So, Dangler, I know I had planned on running some training medical kit in it, but being assigned team leader, this became admin pouch, right? So, I didn't carry the training medical gear. I gave that to the medic. I just carried real stuff on me in case there was a real emergency. So here's how I did this. Obviously I got another tourniquet here on the bottom. I talked about that. So what I did is I've got this Haley Strategic Dangler. I don't love it. It's just Velcro line. It doesn't have any tie down points in here, which is annoying. So what I did is I took this SOE shotgun card. It's like a side saddle, like a soft elastic side saddle for a shotgun, and it's Velcro backed, right? So I stuck this in here, and this gives me some loops, and one of those loops I used as a tie down, right? So I've got a dummy cord here, a piece of 550, and then I've got it running through the coil of a Ride in the Rain, and then the other end of it I duct taped on this pencil, which I've got a pen cap stuck on, right? So the point of the pencil is it's not gonna leak. It can write in the rain, right? Like a regular pen won't work on this paper quite the same way. I can sharpen it with a knife, right? So I can erase it. So, or I mean, kind of erase it, not perfectly right on this paper. So, but that's how I did that. And so the way I have this, it's tied to me. So I can't, you know, if I'm writing down sensitive stuff, like I have, well, not that it matters. I've got 3 different nets, radio frequency nets on here. I've got call signs with real names, like sensitive stuff. And so I've got that tied to me. Is that the best way to do it? I don't know, probably not. But I didn't use this a whole lot, but I was glad I had it. So, oh, and then I've got a lens cloth on here too that I didn't wind up using. The other things I had in here were which I don't now because they were like provided for the class. So I had a air panel in here, I had a compass on a dummy cord, and then I had a whistle on the dummy cord as well. So that was like the admin spot, not the most convenient to get to it. So if I was using that stuff a little bit more often, I would probably need a different place for it. Like I'm thinking compass especially, right? If I'm doing actual land nav and not working on a range where like we've got a map of the grid, we know where we're going, like terrain association, right? Because it's a range, right? We're not like in the middle of the forest. So if I was using the compass all the time, I might want a grenade pouch or something somewhere that's like compass sized where that's just in there. And easier access. But for the class, I mean, this worked fine. So that's what I ended up using it for, and that was kind of, I alluded to that in the first video where that might be that's something I don't expect to carry, which is what happened. So stuff that was not pictured. So I ran, I actually have it in my pocket right now. So this is part of my everyday carry medical gear. It's a med wallet from Filster. So to have like some first line medical gear, I threw this in my cargo pocket of my cry pants. So I have medical on the kit, and then I've got medical in my pocket. I ran a multi-tool. You know, I can't remember which multi-tool I was using in the class, but I ran a multi-tool in my pocket. And the way I actually ran this was in the cry pants. They've got the elastic like magazine retainer in the cargo pocket. I ran that in there. What else? I ran my phone in my cargo pocket. And then I had a notebook that I was using for class. It's, well, I'll show you in the belt video, but I had that in a Ziploc in my other pocket and I had a map, right? So a laminated map with the grid on it that we were using, that was in my pocket as well. In the dip can pockets in the front, I had a pocket knife, a small pocket knife, which unfortunately I bent the clip, so I gotta bend that back, which is why I'm carrying this multi-tool instead of like a knife. So I had that, I had a lighter, some chapstick, and then in my other dip pocket, I had like some paper towels, like wipe your nose or your hands if you get all muddy, if you're trying to use like hand sanitizer or whatever. And then I had some Cliff Bars. So we were told like, hey, whatever you step off with, like whatever is on your body, plan on that's all you have all day long, right? So everybody like squirreled a little bit of food away. So that's what I did. They got smashed and melted, but I mean, I can eat something smashed and melted if we don't get a chance to go back to the trucks. So that's what I did, like pocket wise. So yeah, anyway, I'll go down to the belt. All right, so moving down to the belt, I did not draw my pistol a single time during this class. So not gonna be a ton to say about the belt. Fast mag worked really good. Probably in my dry practice and training in general, I should be a little bit more deliberate about going for the same mag every time and then replenishing that. So there was a lot of times where I'm replenishing magazines, I'm just replenishing these ones, I'm kind of forgetting to go to that one, and then that didn't cause me a problem, but just being a little bit more consistent is probably a good plan. So didn't use the pistol mags, didn't use the pistol, and I really didn't use this at all. Sometimes I like throw a radio in here, but it's not really big enough for that. So yeah, anyway, not a ton to say. Now, one thing on the pistol, I don't know if you can tell by where it is on my body, probably not, because it's like only about a half an inch. This has moved a little bit back. And then the other thing, I had a cant on this gun, okay? I had a slight reverse cant on this gun for like ergonomic purposes, getting to it. And I broke one of the zip ties that was giving me that cant. So here's probably what I'm gonna do is I'll cut this zip tie off and I'll put one giant big thick zip tie either across the top or the bottom, which will give me the spacer and keep the gun from moving. And then if I want a cant, I'll do it with the screws on the holster. But honestly, I want it a little bit further forward than 3 o'clock for access, right? Like being able to get to it works way, it's just superior for draw stroke. Now, the downside, I had this just a hair too far forward where I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff in prone, and like, especially with this optic, it's like, that's what broke that zip tie, I think, is like laying on this gun, right? So moving it just a hair back and sacrificing a little bit of that access, that quick access, for positional shooting where like I'm optimizing around the big gun, right? This is like kind of an afterthought. So anyhow, that's a situation there. So let's see. Gloves ran great. I used these pretty much the whole time. The only time I think I didn't is, and this was a teaching point by the instructors, like, you should be wearing gloves, dude. The only time I think I didn't was for the night shoot. I took my left glove off. I did the Michael Jackson because I was hoping that like my pale, pasty white hand would be visible when I'm trying to like wave at people, give them hand signals and whatnot. Ended up not really, I mean, it was way more visible than this literal black glove, but they couldn't see me anyway. It was a lot of lessons learned for the night shoot, and I would do things a little bit differently. Everything that was discussed in the brief, as far as like how much closer you have to be, how much more difficult it is to control your element, how much slower you have to move, all that is like true tenfold. Huge learning experiences. It was awesome. And there's some sick footage from the night shoot that I'll put out a video on the class itself, so you guys can see some of that. But anyway, yeah, I think that's the kit. So a couple changes I'm making. I'm gonna need to get some wing pouches. Here, I'll move this up. See, you're not talking my junk. Need some wing pouches for the radios. I'm gonna get another stubby antenna. Big one is shoulder pads. And probably play with this push to talk, maybe try and turn it sideways or something to keep this button away from the right side while not having all this stuff like being annoying and in the way. This magazine wound up being the last one I ever went to, which is good because like there was cable behind it and it was annoying. So anyway, that's what worked and what didn't. I mean, pretty much what worked and just what could have worked better. For my fighting load, the kit set up for the Small Unit Tactics class at Tactical Response. So With that being said, this is Reed with Rapid Response Training, and always keep improving your setup. Don't be weird.